Introduction to the project. In a small town nestled between rolling hills and vibrant fields, there stood a church that had been a beacon of hope and faith for generations. St. Mary's Church, with its weathered stone facade and towering steeple, was more than just a place of worship. It was the heart of the community. For many residents, it was where they celebrated life's milestones, weddings, baptisms, and confirmations, each event woven into the fabric of their lives. However, in recent years, St. Mary's had fallen into disrepair. A severe storm had battered its roof, causing leaks that threatened to ruin the stained glass windows depicting biblical scenes. The congregation, though resilient and devoted, struggled to gather the funds necessary for repairs. As time passed, their beloved church began to show signs of neglect, and with it came a sense of despair among the members. In this moment of need, an unexpected figure emerged: Donald Trump. Known for his larger-than-life persona and controversial political career, Trump had always been a polarizing figure. Yet, he also had a history of philanthropy that often went unnoticed amidst the headlines. When he learned about St. Mary's plight through social media and community outreach programs, something stirred within him. He decided to take action. Trump reached out to local leaders and expressed his desire to help rebuild the church. His offer was met with a mix of surprise and skepticism. Some wondered if this was merely a publicity stunt. Others were hopeful that his involvement could bring much-needed resources to their struggling community. The news spread like wildfire through the town. The congregation was abuzz with excitement and apprehension as they gathered for an emergency meeting at St. Mary's. The pastor stood at the front, his voice steady yet filled with emotion as he addressed his flock. "Brothers and sisters," he began, "we have received an incredible opportunity. Donald Trump has offered to help us rebuild our beloved church." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some gasped in disbelief while others exchanged hopeful glances. As discussions continued, it became clear that this was not just about repairing bricks and mortar. It was about restoring faith and unity within their community. Many members shared personal stories about what St. Mary's meant to them, the countless hours spent volunteering, the friendships forged within its walls, and the solace found in its quiet pews. The pastor encouraged everyone to embrace this opportunity with open hearts. "Let us not judge a man by his past, but by his actions today," he urged. "If he is willing to lend us a hand, we should welcome him." As plans began to take shape, Trump's team coordinated with local contractors and volunteers to assess the damage and outline a comprehensive rebuilding strategy. They organized fundraisers and community events to rally support, not just from those within St. Mary's congregation, but from neighboring towns as well. The day finally arrived when Trump would visit St. Mary's Church in person. Excitement buzzed in the air as congregants prepared for his arrival. Banners were hung and volunteers decorated the church grounds with flowers and lights, transforming it into a welcoming space. When Trump stepped out of his vehicle on that sunny afternoon, he was greeted by cheers from a diverse crowd: young families with children in tow, elderly couples who had attended St. Mary's for decades, and even those who had been skeptical about his involvement at first. He smiled broadly as he waved to everyone. "Thank you all for being here today," Trump exclaimed as he approached the microphone set up in front of the church. "This is not just about rebuilding a building, it's about rebuilding hope." His words resonated deeply with those present. As he spoke about his commitment to restoring St. Mary's Church, both physically and spiritually, the congregation felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over them. In that moment, they realized that this project was more than just bricks and mortar. It was an opportunity for healing, a chance for their community to come together in ways they had never imagined possible. As plans unfolded over the coming weeks, excitement grew within the congregation. They organized volunteer days where families came together to paint walls, clean up debris, and share meals under the open sky. Laughter echoed through the churchyard as children played while adults worked side by side. Little did they know that this journey would ignite not only their spirits, but also create bonds that would last long after the last nail was hammered into place. The rebuilding process. As the sun rose over the small town, casting a warm glow on St. Mary's Church, a palpable sense of excitement filled the air. The congregation had come together with renewed energy and purpose, eager to begin the much-anticipated rebuilding process. With Donald Trump's commitment to support them, they felt a wave of optimism wash over their community. The first step was to assess the damage thoroughly. Local contractors brought in by Trump's team arrived with blueprints and tools in hand. They meticulously examined the church's structure, identifying areas that needed immediate attention. The roof, which had suffered extensive water damage, the crumbling walls that needed reinforcement, and the beloved stained glass windows that required careful restoration. In a community meeting held in the church hall, the pastor gathered everyone to discuss the plans. Today marks a new beginning for St. Mary's, he proclaimed. We have an incredible opportunity to not only restore our church, but also strengthen our bonds as a community. The congregation was divided into teams, each assigned specific tasks based on their skills and interests. Some members were excited to take on painting and decorating, while others with construction experience volunteered for more hands-on work. The atmosphere was electric as people shared ideas and laughter, united by a common goal. One of the most heartwarming aspects of this project was witnessing families working side by side. Parents brought their children along to teach them about community service and faith in action. Youngsters wielded paintbrushes with enthusiasm, turning dull walls into vibrant colors that reflected their joy and hope. As work commenced, challenges inevitably arose. The initial excitement sometimes gave way to frustration when unexpected issues surfaced, like discovering more extensive damage than anticipated or delays in material deliveries. However, these setbacks only fueled their determination. One afternoon, as volunteers gathered for lunch under a large oak tree in front of the church, Trump stopped by to check on progress. He mingled with the volunteers, sharing stories and offering encouragement. "You're doing an incredible job," he said to a group of teenagers who were busy painting a mural on one of the church's exterior walls. "This place will be beautiful again because of your hard work." Inspired by his presence, volunteers rallied together even more. They began organizing themed work days, family fun days, where children could participate in games while adults tackled various projects, and community nights that included potluck dinners where everyone shared food and fellowship after a long day of labor. Amidst all this activity, one particular day stood out, a Saturday dedicated to restoring the stained glass windows. A local artist who specialized in glasswork volunteered his time to guide church members through the intricate process of cleaning and repairing these cherished pieces of art. As they carefully removed each panel from its frame, stories emerged about what those windows represented for each person involved. For many, these windows had been part of their lives since childhood. They held memories of weddings, baptisms, and Sunday services filled with light, streaming through vibrant colors. With every brushstroke and repair made under the artist's guidance, a sense of reverence filled the air. "These windows are not just glass, they are symbols of our faith," one elderly congregant remarked as she gently cleaned a panel depicting an angel. "They remind us of our history and hope for the future." As days turned into weeks, progress on St. Mary's Church became visible to everyone in town. The once dilapidated building began to transform into a stunning testament to resilience and community spirit. The roof was replaced with sturdy materials capable of weathering any storm. Fresh paint brightened its exterior, and flowers were planted around the grounds, adding life to what had once felt abandoned. News of their efforts spread beyond their small town. Local media outlets began covering the story, highlighting not just Trump's involvement but also showcasing how ordinary people came together for an extraordinary cause. Social media buzzed with updates as residents shared photos of their hard work and progress. One evening, as twilight descended upon St. Mary's Church, volunteers gathered for a special ceremony, a moment to reflect on what they had accomplished together. The pastor led them in prayer, thanking everyone for their dedication and hard work. "This church is not just a building," he said passionately. "It is a living testament to our faith and commitment to one another." As they stood together outside under twinkling fairy lights strung across trees, laughter echoed through the air as families shared stories about their experiences during this journey. The friendships forged over paint cans and sawdust, the lessons learned about teamwork, and most importantly, the renewed sense of hope that enveloped them all. In that moment it became clear this rebuilding process was about so much more than restoring bricks and mortar. It was about rekindling connections within their community and reaffirming their shared beliefs. As they looked at St. Mary's Church, now standing tall against the night sky, they knew that this place would once again be filled with joy and love, a sanctuary where generations could gather for years to come. Congregation's response. As the final touches were being put on St. Mary's Church, excitement buzzed through the congregation. The rebuilding process had not only restored their beloved church, but had also rekindled a sense of community spirit that had been waning. With the completion of the project nearing, it was time for the congregation to express their heartfelt gratitude to Donald Trump and everyone who had contributed to this monumental effort. The pastor called for a special service to celebrate the church's revival and honor those who had played pivotal roles in its restoration. The date was set for a Sunday morning, a day traditionally reserved for worship, but this service would be unlike any other. It would be a celebration of faith, community, and the power of coming together for a common cause. As word spread about the upcoming service, anticipation grew within the town. Families began preparing for what they hoped would be a memorable event. Children practiced songs to perform during the service, while adults organized decorations and prepared heartfelt speeches. On the day of the celebration, St. Mary's Church was adorned with flowers and banners that read, "Thank you," and "Together we rise." The atmosphere was electric as congregants gathered, their faces filled with joy and hope. The church, once in disrepair, now stood proudly with its freshly painted walls gleaming in the sunlight. When Donald Trump arrived at St. Mary's that morning, he was met with an enthusiastic welcome. The congregation erupted into applause as he stepped through the doors, a warm smile on his face. He took a moment to absorb the scene, the vibrant colors, the decorations, and most importantly, the people whose lives had been touched by this project. The pastor welcomed everyone and began the service with a prayer of gratitude. "Today we gather not only to celebrate our church, but also to recognize the incredible journey we have undertaken together," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "We are grateful for every hand that helped rebuild these walls and for every heart that believed in our vision." As the service progressed, members of the congregation took turns sharing their stories about what St. Mary's meant to them and how they felt during the rebuilding process. One woman spoke about how her family had attended St. Mary's for generations. It was where she had been baptized and later married. "This church is my home," she said tearfully. "I am so grateful for everyone who helped bring it back to life." A young boy stepped forward next, clutching a handmade card that he had crafted with his friends during one of their volunteer days. "Mr. Trump," he said shyly, Thank you for helping us fix our church. I love coming here because it makes me feel happy." The congregation erupted in applause as Trump knelt down to give him a high five. As more stories were shared, it became clear that this rebuilding effort had created lasting connections among congregants, connections that transcended age, background, and beliefs. A retired veteran spoke about how working alongside younger members had reignited his sense of purpose and belonging within the community. "Together we have built more than just a church. We have built relationships," he said proudly. "This experience has shown me that regardless of our differences, we can come together for something greater." Finally, it was time for Trump to address the congregation. Stepping up to the podium, he looked out at the sea of smiling faces before him. "Thank you all for such a warm welcome," he began. "I am truly honored to be here today." He spoke passionately about his commitment to supporting communities in need and how witnessing their dedication had inspired him deeply. "What you have accomplished here is nothing short of remarkable," he continued. "You have shown what it means to come together as one, working tirelessly for a common goal." Trump emphasized that this project was not just about restoring a building, it was about revitalizing hope and faith within their community. He expressed his admiration for each volunteer who had dedicated their time and energy to make St. Mary's Church a reality once again. As he concluded his speech, Trump announced that he would be making a donation to help fund future community programs hosted by St. Mary's Church, initiatives aimed at supporting local families in need and fostering continued engagement among residents. The congregation erupted into cheers at this news, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over them once more. After the formalities concluded, it was time for fellowship, a chance for everyone to mingle and celebrate together over food and laughter. Tables were set up outside under large tents filled with homemade dishes brought by congregants, casseroles, salads, desserts, all lovingly prepared as tokens of appreciation. Families gathered around tables, sharing stories, while children played games nearby. Laughter echoed throughout the grounds as new friendships blossomed amidst old ones rekindled. In one corner of the tent, volunteers who had worked tirelessly on various projects during the rebuilding process shared their experiences over slices of cake decorated with icing that read, "Thank you." They reminisced about long days spent painting walls or repairing windows, each story punctuated by laughter and camaraderie. As dusk fell upon St. Mary's Church that evening, lanterns flickered softly against the backdrop of twinkling stars above, a beautiful reminder of how far they had come together as a community. In those moments filled with joy and gratitude, it became evident this rebuilding effort transcended bricks and mortar. It had forged lasting bonds among individuals who might have otherwise never crossed paths. As congregants embraced one another at day's end, some wiping away tears while others laughed heartily, they knew they were part of something much larger than themselves, a testament not only to faith but also resilience in times of adversity. St. Mary's Church would continue to stand tall as a symbol of hope, a place where love thrived amid challenges and where every individual could find solace knowing they belonged to something truly special. Impact on the community. As the sun rose over St. Mary's Church, illuminating its newly restored facade, the small town buzzed with a renewed sense of hope and purpose. The church, once a symbol of neglect, had transformed into a vibrant center of community life. Its revival marked not just the restoration of a building, but also a profound shift in the hearts and minds of those who called this place home. In the weeks following the church's reopening, congregants began to notice a palpable change in their community. People who had once drifted apart, caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life, began to reconnect. Neighbors who hadn't spoken in years found themselves chatting in the churchyard, sharing stories and laughter as they tended to the gardens surrounding St. Mary's. The pastor initiated regular community gatherings, faith and fellowship nights, where residents could come together for shared meals, discussions, and activities. These evenings became a staple of community life, fostering connections that transcended age and background. Families brought dishes to share, creating a melting pot of flavors that reflected their diverse heritage. One evening, as families gathered under twinkling lights strung across the churchyard, a local musician volunteered to provide entertainment. He played folk songs that resonated with many in attendance, evoking memories of their childhoods and sparking spontaneous sing-alongs. Laughter filled the air as children danced around, their joy infectious. These gatherings not only strengthened existing relationships, but also welcomed newcomers into the fold. New families moving into town found solace in St. Mary's warm embrace. They were greeted with open arms and invited to participate in various events. The church became a safe haven for those seeking connection and belonging. As word spread about St. Mary's revitalization, neighboring towns took notice. Community leaders from nearby areas reached out to learn how they could replicate this success story within their own communities. The pastor was invited to speak at local events, sharing insights about fostering unity through faith and service. Inspired by their own experience, congregants began organizing outreach programs aimed at helping those less fortunate in their community. They established food drives, clothing donations, and mentorship programs for at-risk youth, all initiatives designed to uplift those in need. One particularly impactful program was Hands Together, where volunteers from St. Mary's partnered with local schools to provide tutoring and support for students struggling academically. This initiative not only helped improve educational outcomes, but also fostered relationships between students and mentors that would last well beyond the school year. As these programs flourished, they attracted attention from local media outlets eager to share stories of kindness and generosity emerging from St. Mary's Church. Articles highlighted individual volunteers' efforts, like a retired teacher who spent her afternoons helping students improve their reading skills, or a group of teens who organized weekend cleanup efforts in local parks. The impact of these initiatives rippled throughout the town, inspiring others to get involved. Businesses began sponsoring events at St. Mary's, donating food for gatherings, or offering discounts for church members participating in community service projects. One day, during a community cleanup day, volunteers from all walks of life came together to beautify public spaces around town, picking up litter, planting flowers, and painting benches, all while sharing stories about what brought them together that day. As they worked side by side under the warm sun, it was clear that this sense of unity extended beyond just St. Mary's congregation. It encompassed everyone who called this town home. The church also became a hub for special events. Weddings, anniversaries, and community celebrations were once again held within its walls. Each event brought families together to create new memories while honoring traditions passed down through generations. One memorable wedding took place shortly after the church reopened. A young couple who had grown up attending services at St. Mary's decided to exchange vows there amidst friends and family. The joy radiating from their celebration was infectious. It served as a reminder that love flourishes when nurtured by community support. As time went on, St. Mary's Church became synonymous with hope, a place where people gathered not only for worship, but also for fellowship and service. Its doors remained open wide to all who sought refuge or connection within its walls. The transformation extended beyond just social gatherings. It sparked conversations about faith and spirituality within homes throughout town. Families began discussing their beliefs more openly at dinner tables. Children asked questions about God, and community service inspired by what they witnessed at church events. In one household, parents reported that their children had started volunteering independently, organizing small fundraisers among friends or collecting toys for less fortunate families during holidays, an initiative born from witnessing their parents' commitment to service through St. Mary's outreach programs. Perhaps most significantly was how this revival impacted mental health within the community. Residents reported feeling less isolated. They found companionship in shared experiences at church events or during volunteer activities, connections that helped combat feelings of loneliness often felt in today's fast-paced world. As seasons changed and years passed since Donald Trump first stepped foot into St. Mary's Church to offer his support, it became evident that his involvement had sparked something truly remarkable, a movement rooted in love, compassion, and faith. On one particularly poignant Sunday morning, 2 years after the church's reopening, the congregation gathered once again for a special service dedicated solely to reflection on their journey together as a community. The pastor stood before them with tears glistening in his eyes as he spoke about how far they had come since those early days filled with uncertainty after the storm damage had left them reeling from loss. "Today we celebrate not just our beautiful church, but also each other," he said passionately. "What we have built here is more than bricks. It is an enduring legacy, a testament to what happens when we unite our efforts towards something greater than ourselves." As congregants listened intently, many wiping away tears, they knew deep down that this journey was far from over. Rather, it marked only the beginning of continued growth within their beloved town, a place where faith thrived amid challenges, a testament not only to resilience, but also love shared among neighbors, united by purpose. Conclusion and reflection. As the sun set over St. Mary's Church, casting a warm golden hue across its newly restored facade, the congregation gathered once more to reflect on their incredible journey. It had been 2 years since Donald Trump first stepped into their lives, offering support when they needed it most. The church stood as a testament to resilience, faith, and the power of community, a place where hope had been rekindled and connections forged anew. The pastor stood at the pulpit, his voice resonating with gratitude and pride as he addressed his congregation. "Today we come together not just to celebrate our beautiful church, but to honor the spirit of unity that has blossomed within our community," he began, his eyes scanning the familiar faces before him. What started as a rebuilding project has transformed into something far greater, a movement rooted in love, compassion, and service. As he spoke, memories flooded back to those early days when the church had been in disrepair. The uncertainty, the doubts, and the fears that had loomed over them seemed like distant echoes now. The pastor recalled how each member had stepped up during the rebuilding process, how they had poured their hearts into restoring not just a building, but their sense of belonging. "Every brushstroke on these walls tells a story," he continued. "Every flower planted in our gardens symbolizes hope, and every friendship forged through this experience reminds us that we are never alone." The congregation nodded in agreement, reflecting on their shared experiences, the laughter during volunteer days, the emotional stories shared during services, and the bonds that had formed among neighbors who had once been strangers. This journey had not only revitalized their church, but also revitalized their community spirit. As part of this special service, several congregants were invited to share their reflections on what St. Mary's Church meant to them now. A young woman stepped forward, her voice steady, yet filled with emotion. "When I was growing up, I often felt lost," she admitted. "But coming back to St. Mary's after its renovation has given me a sense of purpose. I've found my place here, not just as a member of this church, but as part of something bigger." Another congregant, An elderly gentleman who had attended St. Mary's for decades shared his thoughts with a twinkle in his eye. "I remember when this place was falling apart," he said with a chuckle. "But now it feels alive. It's like we've breathed new life into our community." His words elicited laughter and applause from those gathered. As stories continued to unfold, each one unique yet intertwined, the pastor encouraged everyone to reflect on how they could continue to contribute to this vibrant community. "Let us not forget what we have built together," he urged. "Let us carry this spirit forward into our everyday lives, extending kindness beyond these walls and reaching out to those who may still feel isolated or alone." With that call to action resonating in their hearts, congregants began discussing ideas for future initiatives, plans for outreach programs that would extend their mission of service beyond St. Mary's Church and into neighboring communities. As they brainstormed ideas, food drives for local shelters, mentorship programs for youth in need, there was an undeniable sense of excitement in the air. They realized that while they had accomplished so much already, there was still work to be done. In closing remarks, the pastor invited Donald Trump back up to address the congregation one final time. Trump took the microphone once more, his demeanor warm and genuine as he spoke about what he had witnessed during his time with them. "I came here wanting to help rebuild a church," he began with sincerity. "But what I found was so much more than that. I found a community filled with heart and determination." He paused for effect before continuing. "You have shown me what it means to come together for a cause greater than ourselves." Trump emphasized that this experience had reaffirmed his belief in the power of communities working together toward common goals, an idea that transcended politics or personal agendas. As he concluded his speech with words of encouragement for continued collaboration and service, applause erupted throughout St. Mary's Church, a resounding affirmation of their shared commitment to one another. As dusk settled around them and candles flickered softly in the dim light of the sanctuary, congregants joined hands for a closing prayer, a moment of unity that encapsulated everything they had achieved together. "May we carry this spirit of love and service into our daily lives," the pastor prayed aloud. "May we continue to uplift one another and extend our hands to those in need." With heartfelt amens echoing through the church, it became clear. St. Mary's was no longer just a building. It was a living testament to hope, a sanctuary where faith thrived amid challenges, a place where every individual could find solace, knowing they belonged to something truly special. As congregants exited into the cool evening air, smiles brightening their faces, they felt an overwhelming sense of purpose wash over them. They knew that while their journey had been remarkable thus far, it was merely the beginning. Together they would continue building upon this foundation, one rooted in love, compassion, and unwavering faith, ensuring that St. Mary's Church remained a beacon of hope for generations yet to come. And so they walked forward into tomorrow, hand in hand, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, with hearts full of gratitude for what they had accomplished together and hope for all that was still to come.